What I'm about to tell you is going to sound crazy, but back in the day, people used to be able to trade small pieces of metal for goods and services. And these pieces of metal were called coins, and the most valuable one that you could have was called a quarter. It was called that because it was a quarter of a dollar, which would be a large piece of paper you still see sometimes today. And when I was a wee little kid, my dad had so many of these quarters because he bought everything with cash. And whenever he had change, especially quarters, he put them in this big metal dog bowl above his dresser. And you know, as a kid, I knew the value of these quarters because you could add them up and then you could get stuff with them. But I also knew that a lot of adults didn't use them for much of anything. And a lot of times once they had a bunch of them, they would just give them to kids as like spending money. So I had a sort of moral dilemma that I didn't ponder on that long because I turned into the Hamburglar, but for quarters. The quarter burglar. When I knew that my dad was downstairs playing games, I would tiptoe to his bedroom with a sock, like a little child flower printed sock. And I would take little bits of the quarters, say like a pinchful, and I'd put them in my sock and then I'd walk back to my bedroom and I'd stash them. See, I knew if I did it a little bit at the time, it wouldn't be noticed. Cause you know, he trusted me and stuff. And as thrilled as I was about my growing stash of acorns, I also had like a really bad guilt about it. I was no stranger to guilt because I was accidentally raised Baptist and I knew I was supposed to be guilty in general about my existence, but like really having something to tether that guilt onto felt horrible. Another little fun fact about something I had a lot of guilt about is that early YouTube wasn't what it is today, and there was a lot of like unrestricted animations out and about, and I used to love watching this one little chicken character. It was like a little circle chicken and he'd get up to stuff, and most of them were fun, child-friendly videos, except for one, which was they took this little chicken character and they put it in the microwave and then they set the timer and it would rotate and slowly become more and more panicked until it just exploded. Just an utter bloodbath sprayed across the glass. And I used to stay up at night thinking I was a horrible person because I kept imagining Jesus Christ in the microwave. Anyway, one evening I was up thinking about microwave Jesus Christ and the guilt overcame me, so I needed to get rid of it through another means. So instead of calling my dad up to his bedroom and like telling him what I did, I called up my mom, this poor tired woman, and I told her what I'd done, and she just went, "KK, keep the quarters. Don't bother us with this." And we never spoke of it again. Follow for more financial advice and get on the right path to become a self-made millionaire by 30.